This video is brought to you by the FarmerKlein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Gródek. But before that, this video is brought to you by Viking Hammer 73 and Dozer. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Gródek map can be found with the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to Gródek. The map is a representation of real terrain, but is made on its own terms. This map has 89 fields, including meadows, 108 viable farmlands, 2 playable farms, including 1 with chickens, all selling and production points. Okay. Biogas plant, train system, lots of forest, lime and water collection points, varied terrain. I hope you like the map. Have a nice game. Let's go ahead and load into the map. We are going to use the mods we typically use when take a look at maps. It is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. While we may wait for the map to load on in, I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, that you will find the main farm is built out exactly how you see it here in new farm mode. In the addition, you do own all machinery in all play modes. The only exception is you do not own any land in those alternate play modes. So we load in here for the very first time. We load at basically the vehicle shop. And the vehicle shop is simply an empty pad with a shop icon and a dealer icon. No markers, but this is where the dealer trigger is located, and then our stone crusher. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. This is clearly a Polish-inspired map. We have there are playable fields. This map does include all the standard crop types available to us in Farm Sim 22. And we take a look at our lands area. You'll see we start out by owning Farmland ID 60, as well as Farmland ID. Sorry. Both of these are Farmland ID 60. We do have a biogas plant, which is located here at Farmland ID 83. Then we have several forested areas as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. The farmland lease screen is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included. Then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us? Sadly, we can see farmland ID 1 through 6 is matching up with fields 1 through 6, but then, well, farmland ID 7, for whatever reason, is not a field. Then farmland ID 8 has field 7, and at that point, they are 1 digit off. It is a little bit frustrating. I do like to see when the fields and farmland IDs match up, but of course, it is not an absolute requirement. We then go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen. This is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. Then ultimately go back and cross-reference this with the farmland lease screen to get an idea of how much it's going to cost to buy any one particular field or fields. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how the precision farming soil map is being applied to these fields. This map is making use of the generic soil map. And as is with typical Polish maps, we do have a very good representation of the soil map because Polish maps are usually very, very dense with respect to their field layouts. Now, taking a look at our crop counter, we do have the standard base game crop counter available to us in this map. And if we take a look down through our prices screen, we are going to find some very interesting things. First off, we're going to find that we are missing the English language entry for the train sell point on lots of these, but what we do find is we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in Farm Sim 22. In addition, we do have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk. As we move down through our silage, hay, straw, and grass, the trend does still continue, but there is an interesting problem when we get to productions. With respect to productions, we do not have the ability to sell our bread or cakes, nor do we have the ability to sell cheese, fabric, clothing, honey, cereal, any of our oils, sunflower, canola, or olive oil. How about raisins and grape juice? Nope, not going to happen. Lettuce, strawberries, and tomatoes are also, strawberries are on the list, but overall lettuce and tomatoes are not. Chocolate is also missing, as well as furniture. So overall, we are going to be taking off a half a point, a whole half point with respect to the ability to sell all of our base game products, animal outputs, and productions. We do have bulk line buy point, and we do have stone crusher, as we've already seen. With respect to the platinum expansion production items, we do not have the ability to sell any of the platinum expansion production items here on this map. So if we do want to get into those productions, we will need to put down our own sell point. And then lastly, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, we do have the ability of getting rid of our separated manure. With respect to our vehicles, we do start out with a few pieces of machinery. It is all owned, none of it is leased, and all is well maintained with 0 operating hours. We do have a chicken pasture on the starting farm, but no chickens in that coop. We do have contracts available on the map. We do not own any of the productions that are available on the map at the start, and this map also does not have any collectibles. Taking a look at our starting fleet, we start out with the Massey Ferguson 6713S medium tractor. We have the Nova 330 harvester that is paired up with the 330 Power Stream 500 grain header. We have the Welger DK 115 trailer. We have the Horsch Torino 3FX plow, as well as the Kuhn HR 4040 power harrow. And then we have the Venta 4030 seeder. Now, the power harrow and seeder are typically used in combination with each other. And that is all of our starting machinery. This map also does not have any custom vehicles or implements included. Now, if we take a little stroll down the road here, we're going to find our main starting farm. Over to our right, we have the sawmill. This map does have 6 productions pre-placed. We've got the sawmill, the BGA, the carpentry, even though we can't sell furniture. We have the bakery, even though we can't sell bread or cakes. We also have a dairy, well, even though we can't sell chocolate. And we have a spinnery pre-placed on the map. So here we have our starting farm. We have our farmhouse. We don't actually have a sleep trigger here at the farmhouse. We have our chicken coop, which is located right here. We have our drop point off for our animals. This facility will hold 100 chickens. Our food trough is around the corner here. And while it's not necessarily evident as to where our eggs are going to spawn at, I have a little guess that's going to be within here. It would be nice to see those markers, though. And then with respect to this building, it is using some old kind of flatter looking textures. And we have some issues with this building with little floaty stuff. Like that thing right there. Right, when we open the door, it just kind of goes in and out. We're going to find that with some of these other doors as well. I think the upper door up there. Yep, we also have one of those floating up there. Then we have a small easy shed where our machinery is located. Now, with respect to, can the farm be customizable? Well, the big answer on that one is no. It cannot. We cannot sell the shed. We cannot sell the chicken coop. We also cannot sell the farmhouse, the deco elements, or the fence around it. everything you see here is permanently embedded in the map. So the map will be getting a full-on goose egg with respect to can the farms be customized. I think we have an operable gate back here. Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and take a look here at build mode. With respect to buildings and sheds, we've got all base game stuff. Same with respect to silos extensions, containers, tools, and then we do have the ability to place a sleep trigger. So even though we don't have one here, we can put one down, which is fine. It did say that there were 2 farms on the map, so this way we can figure out which one we want to put a sleep trigger down for. As far as production goes, we are all fairly standard here as well. Selling points, greenhouses, orchards, and generators. Our animal areas, we do have we can put down the triggers, and yes. Based on this, where the triggers are, even though we don't have our icons, it does look like our eggs are going to spawn in here. Now, I might be a little concerned. There, you see the corner markers are under the floor. Honestly, I am really concerned. Will those eggs spawn up here? Or will they spawn down there where we cannot get it to them? That's a pretty big concern. I'm not going to be able to test that, but I would be curious. Overall, this map has a pretty bad score on the mod hub. Right now, as of recording, it's 1.7 stars. We are going to be scoring this map ultimately a little bit higher than that. But, yeah. You may want to check some things out before you go and invest a ton of time on this map. As far as painting, we have fairly standard textures here. Just the ones you see. And fairly standard plants. We do have long dry grass. Grass dense mix. Small rumex, whitetail weed, regular rumex, small grass, and green tall weed. Green tall weed, small grass. There's some of our textures. See a little bit of altitude when you take a little bit of a look around here. Really well done map boundary. We really can't tell where kind of the player fields start and the outside areas begin. As I mentioned, right over here we do have our sawmill. So we have our wood chip, we have our wood cell trigger, we have our interactive icon. We have another wood cell trigger back here. And I'm only going to assume that that is a corner marker that is also representing the pallet spawn point for the sawmill. Again, we have our stone crusher, our dealer trigger. I don't think we're going to do a fly around. We're not going to do a drive around on this map. It's fairly sparse as far as the sell points and everything go. I think we can hit them all during the drive around portion. Something else I noticed is when I was doing the preview here, we've got some kind of other random things that show up here in the shop, and I'm not able to rotate so much. So I can rotate here. This one, I can rotate now. I couldn't rotate earlier. And then when I had loaded in here at a different time, there was other stuff kind of in the shop menu. It's really weird. Right now, we just have this kind of shop room just kind of sitting on the floor. Something off here in the distance I really can't see, but it was kind of a interesting situation. We do have our dealer trigger here. We don't have the corner markers, but that is located right there. Decent size for our vehicles and implements to spawn in here, given the size of these particular fields. And of course, we have our stone crusher. Over here we have our dairy, our spinnery, and our bakery. Base game dairy. Right, we have our pallets. We have our interactive point that's not marked. Then we have our dump point that's not marked. We have our spinnery, our dump point, our interactive pallet point. Right there. Then we have our bakery, right? We know where all those triggers are because they're all just standard base game elements. So here's an example of our boundary crop. So this is one of our fields, but those are outside the map boundary. Not a bad map boundary at all. We have our bulk lime buy point right here through the woods. Right there. First, we have then our starting farm. We'll go ahead and take the road this direction. We're coming up to our carpentry now. So here we have our carpentry. So our wood cell, our dump point, our interactive point, and our pallet spawn point. We have our train depot, as well as our rent train trigger. So rent train trigger is right there. Our train sell point is basically beyond the map boundary, which is pretty much right here at this building. These power towers do have collisions. I didn't check that out earlier. As with any Polish map, I would strongly be cautious about hiring helpers to do a lot of this work, because the way these fields are in such close proximity to each other, very easily, if you own adjacent fields, your hired helper could go and cultivate, seed, or do other types of field work on adjacent fields without you being aware. Now over here, you might think, well, this is the flour mill. Nope, not so much. We have the animal dealer here. So this is where we're going to be able to buy animals. We have the animal dealer bale sell point located right there. Then we have another grain sell point here. Sadly, this grain sell point is also missing its English language entry. So if we try to look and see what this one is named, it's just saying that it is missing. We have our biogas plant located up here. If you do buy the land, you will own the BGA. I was a little upset, frustrated at the BGA. It's just completely been painted over with grass, even in here in our bunker. We've got a single 3-sided bunker. We have our digester. Then we have our dump point and a fill point for our digestate. And just seemingly a random scale just put here. It just really feels like this was just slapped down pretty haphazardly. Given the fact that we've got just complete and utter grass paintage over there. And quite honestly, that's pretty much the map. I know the description said that there were 2 farms, and when I did my cursory overlook, this must be the second one right here. When I did my cursory overlook, I really didn't see a second farm, but now this might be it. Farmland ID 94. It's just this little barn and house, kind of right down the street from this farm right here. And I would expect, keeping with the general trend, I can't sell those either. Nope. Just like I can't sell these. Can't even sell the sleep trigger that I put down. Very, very interesting. So overall, how are we going to rate this map? We are giving the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such. We do have 6 productions built in, so that is going to meet that metric. We are going to be taking a half a point away with respect to the ability to sell all of our production items, because there are several production items which we cannot sell. So overall, that we've got to score 1.5 at the moment. With respect to the farms being customizable, they are not customizable at all. So the map is going to get a big 0 with respect to that scoring metric. Buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing technique. I'm going to give the map 3/4 of a point. A lot of these buildings are using the new texturing technique. But for example, we've got the chicken coop over at the main starting farm that is just using really feeling like they're really outdated, flat, 2D, low-res textures. With respect to player and interactive areas being clearly marked, we're going to go once again with 3/4 of a point. With that, because there are just several areas scattered around the map just that are not indicated. Like we have apparently right here where the eggs are going to spawn, but the markers are under the floor. Hopefully that's the markers for the eggs and not the markers for the food, because if it's for the food, then the trigger is backwards. That would be a horrible thing. So if this is indeed where the eggs spawn, I kind of am concerned that maybe the eggs are going to spawn under the ground. We had over at the shop, no trigger indicator for the dealer trigger. Then we had some productions that were also lacking triggers, but we kind of have a general idea as where we think those are going to be. So overall, that's going to give this map a score of 3 out of 5. Quite possibly, it could maybe score a little bit lower if we were a little bit more particular on the trigger and interactive areas being clearly marked. Maybe I could give the map a half a point there. So that would knock it down to 2.75. I like Polish maps, but this one, to be honest, it feels a bit rushed. Maybe it's going to get an update. Maybe it's going to get a bit more refinement. I don't know. I hope it plays well. But again, with the ratings that it's showing in the mod hub right now, the map may have some other issues that just are not going to be apparent until you get in it and start trying to play with it. Let me know your all's thoughts down in the comments below. Have you fired this map up? Have you tried playing on it? Did you find any interesting oddities? Are the eggs spawning correctly? Are other things working as they should? When I was doing a little evaluation, actually I found a little corner. It's like that now. This corner of this field. Okay, this is field 20. The corner of this field, right? This field has sunflowers in it. But for whatever reason, this little part of this field, it has sugar beets. But it's field 20. Right? But the little corner is sugar beets. Till next time, happy farming.